I'm just wondering if you could tell us, please, where and when the next negotiating round will be, and what will be the timing in relation to the APEC summit, and what are you expecting will come out of the APEC summit in terms of the topic?
Very nice. It is not transparency. Releasing the text of what you are proposing in our name is what we see as transparency. So on behalf of social justice groups, environmental groups, labor in Washington State and throughout the U.S., my question is, when are you going to release the text to the public and alleviate many of the fears that are raised here by what we don't even know what is being negotiated in our name? Thank you.
You know, we get this question at every round, and I think we have given a very clear answer to this. We are negotiating a trade agreement. It is a negotiation. We do not intend to release the texts. We are doing our utmost to provide as much information to stakeholders who are interested in the substance of the negotiations. And I think for many of the people in the room who are interested in specific chapters of this agreement, they know very well that we are prepared to provide in as much detail as possible the respective positions of our individual countries. But we are engaged in a negotiation. There are some very sensitive issues here that we need to work through, and those cannot be conducted by releasing the texts. So we are happy for anyone who is interested in talking through on any issue that they're interested in to sit down and go through in as much detail as possible. We have a number of the negotiators in the room here now that are willing to have that conversation and to talk about, with U.S. stakeholders, U.S. positions. And I think that other countries can speak for themselves as to how they would like to engage. But as in any negotiation you do anywhere in the world, whether it be in a legislature where you're developing legislation through a negotiation, or a trade negotiation where you're negotiating with other countries, you don't release all of your, as we call it, you don't put your playbook on the table when you're in a negotiation, or you will not conclude that negotiation.
Comment on the potential for Japan to join the negotiations and any kind of pre-commitments that Japan would have to make. That's the first question. The second one, if you could just say something about the overall timeline of the negotiations and when you think you might be moving on to the next stage, not in terms of the next negotiating round, but just the overall timeline of the TPP negotiations, when you might be presenting something to Congress, for example.
I'm happy to answer that question. I'm going to do something a little irregular here. We have our negotiator from the U.S. who's the head of the investment chapter here for a brief period of time in a break. And we're going to lose him. So if I could hold that question, and if there's one or two questions that anyone has on investment that require a more detailed answer, we have Daniel Baitner here for a brief period of time, and I'd like to give folks the opportunity to answer that, and we'll come back to your question.